Good afternoon. I am your host today, Mr. Provost for American History Media. Today we are at the burial grounds of Benjamin Franklin and Paul Revere. Many of you might know Paul Revere from his famous poem, well, not his famous poem, but the poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Paul Revere's Ride. How many of us know the poem that says, "Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive." And we know the poem very well, but many of us do not know the history behind that. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow took some liberties when he wrote the poem. While most of the poem is somewhat correct and has much factual history involved in it, it does take a little bit of artistic license to give the American patriot somewhat of a legend, somewhat of an icon, if you will, in order to make America a country to be proud of, especially in separation from the British. But in fact, Paul Revere did not just ride out saying, "The British are coming, the British are coming," and that was the end of it. No, in fact, this was a very well orchestrated and well put together event. One if by land and two if by sea. That's talking about the North Church Tower, the Belfry Arch, the lights, the lanterns that were lit. But Paul Revere did not simply just take his ride and warn the people and that was the end. No, in fact, Paul Revere did much more than that. In fact, Paul Revere did something that most of us don't know about. In his very long but laborious ride, Mr. Revere did something that most of us are not understanding of. And that is, as he rode to Lexington and he warned those that the British were coming, he made a mistake. Well, we can call it a mistake or we can call it a success. He continued to ride on to Concord. He wanted to warn those in Concord that the British were coming to seize their ammunition and their cannon and other things. But on his ride, he was captured by a garrison of British, and they interrogated him. And that night, they continued to interrogate him, but he did not give up the information. And he said that there were already 500 of his many soldiers that were already warned in the area of Lexington, Concord. Yet, even under duress, Paul Revere kept a very calm demeanor about him. And this calm demeanor allowed him to save his own life, to save the lives of his countrymen, and his horse was taken, but he was spared. This is a story that most of us are not aware of, but must still be told. While Henry Wadsworth Longfellow did take some liberties with the poem, Paul Revere's Ride, the point is still the same. We want to make an icon. We want to make a hero, if we will, out of a great American hero, a son of liberty at that. Paul Revere was a great man. He was a man of principle, and that is what is most important. His principles not only saved his lives, but saved the lives of many of his countrymen and what would eventually become the United States of America. Here for American History Media, I am Joseph Provost, your host. Until next time, ta-ta.